social media gets such a bad rap, but not for the communities of parents that you and I serve. I think that it's unconditional love, and the grief is about what we've expected life to be. My partner now always says, "I'm not going to the gym to look good for you, baby. I'm going to the gym so that we can handle math." Any fear that you have, especially for children that are disabilities or down the road, fear is just temporary atheism.
And hot take, the easiest IEP meetings from a former special ed teacher are the ones where parents didn't talk. All right, when your child's journey looks different than you imagined, it can feel like the world is measuring progress in miles while you're celebrating inches. But those inches matter. Today, we're joined by Sarah from Inchstones. By Sarah, a mom, advocate, educator, and voice of hope, helping families navigate autism, IEPs, and the beautiful truth that every step forward counts. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Zach. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So we have some mutual friends, and they kept sending me your stuff, and they're like, "You got to have on Sarah." I'm like, "Sweet." I'm down. So here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, it's true. Listen, the global village is massive, but you start drilling down into the reality and truth in the special needs community, and there aren't as many of us. So it's nice to find community quickly like that.
Yeah, 100%. All right, I'm going to rapid fire through 5.
All right,
questions.
Do it. Let's go.
One word that describes your parenting journey.
Fierce.
Years?
Fierce.
Fierce. There we go. A resource every special needs parent should know about. The IEP Power Plan?
Exactly. My IEP Power Plan? No. A resource anyone should know about. There's too many to mention, but simply knowing that there's online spaces, how we found each other on Instagram, like use that, find that it, like, social media gets such a bad rap, but not for the communities of parents that you and I serve.
Yeah, there's so many awesome parents doing amazing stuff.
There really are.
Your favorite form of self-care?
Breath work and yoga and early morning watercoloring.
Ooh, nice. What's do you do Wim Hof?
No, I don't do Wim Hof. I actually began doing Bikram yoga. Well, you can't say that now because he got like in trouble. So 26 plus 2 yoga. It's a very specific sequencing of yoga, and it's hatha yoga, that very long held positions. So that's my self-care of choice too.
Okay. I just started doing the breath work.
Yeah, his stuff is amazing.
Like the second day, I almost passed out. I'm like,
yeah,
I was getting like competitive on holding my breath. And then I was like, I can't do this.
It's incredible. Yeah, breath work is no joke.
But it really calms you down. A myth about autism you'd love to erase.
That the child's humanity and soul is attached to their diagnosis.
Oh, that is okay. We got to talk about this. That's such a huge one, and that's why my platform is called UNspecial, because as a teacher, we're in the corner of the campus, and I'm that weird special ed teacher, and I was just so tired of that title. I was like, let's make this more normal, but not to say that they, how am I going to say this? Make it more normal, not to say that like we understand what they're going through, but like, let's get those negative connotations away from the word special.
That's right.
Ugh.
So true.
One sentence of hope for families listening today.
It's going to be more than okay.
Ooh.
It's going to be
more than okay, not just okay.
Yeah, it's going to be more than okay.
Okay. How do you have this mindset? Tell me about your journey.
Yeah. I think I originally was struggling with this bottleneck goal that we were going to fix Millie, right? I have a typical developing oldest. Millie was going through the toddler phase of before pre-diagnosis and then get the diagnosis. And I had this like absolute chokehold on the fixing, doing the right thing that was going to like speed up her growth, get her on a typically developing timeline. And it wasn't until she was around 2.5, and I was singing to her, and she loves song, always connected in song, but she sung back to me, "Why, oh, why can't I?" the last verse of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And it was literally like, I can, there's very few moments in my life that I can pinpoint, like the feel of the carpet underneath me, the time of day, like everything. When she sung that with me, it was like the exact point into the after of my life as an autism mom. Because I thought, why, oh, why can't I? There's nothing stopping me from loving this child so fully. I also get to love myself and be surrounded in life by those who want to love me so fully and unconditionally. There's nothing we can't accomplish if we can just be so unconditionally, delusionally hopeful about the fullness of this journey without having any expectation, without any specific thing that has to happen to be happy or to make Millie successful. Like those just got thrown out, and I became so present to whatever the day brought or whatever chapter that we were in, that it just completely changed the trajectory of my motherhood as an autism mom.
Did you have like a period of denial or hardship, or like did that come pretty quickly then?
Yeah, so I sit in a very unique position. Millie was diagnosed in November of 2017, like 7 days after my son was born. So I had this period where I was in grief, but I also was like in the newborn phase of like motherhood again. And it was, my third child. So I wasn't, silly about what that period was. Right. And the on the clock nursing and things like that. But I think my time of immediate grief was condensed because I had so much on my plate with having a newborn too. And I just shot right into the decision making for early intervention and ABA therapy and whatnot. I don't think the true grief happened for a number of years later, but it felt so different. It was much more of a clarifying, cleansing grief years later. I think the immediate grief was like a grin and bear it. This is really tough. You never imagined this to happen, yet we got to march on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of mothers will share with you similarly that like the grief kind of comes in different pinpoints. It's nonlinear. It'll wallop you, and it never feels the same as time marches on. My grief that has hit me in different points now is sort of more from the like ethereal sense of how much did I put so much work? What did that fear originally keep me from doing for them? So it's almost more of a grief for myself, not really them, and because I don't think that there's really grief for them. I think that it's unconditional love, and the grief is about what we've expected life to be.
Right. And this is a common theme I see with all you autism moms, and I always say don't mess with an autism mom. Is like the
grizzly bear in like Yellowstone that was like the most fierce mama bear. Like we're that one. I don't know what it was, but that's who we are.
But it always seems like there you get the diagnosis. There's a brief period of maybe denial or grief, but grief kind of like happens over time. But it's like you don't got time for that.
No,
like you just immediately start getting to work and make stuff happen.
I think another author writes about this. I forget her name. I think it's Jess Plus the Mess. Writes there is a phase, because when children get diagnosed at like 2 and 3, they're still really physically and socially cute. Like 2
Mhm.
and 3-year-olds are really darn cute. And my kids are like blonde hair and blue eyes, and they're like chubby and little Cabbage Patch dolls. So you had these children, and most of us have these adorable. I don't think there's one. There's never a child that's not, like Alexa, stop. Edit that out. There's really no child that is not like adorably cute, and I
Yeah,
think the grief is sometimes tied to the fact that we can still blend in. 2 and 3-year-olds can still blend into the playground. 2 and
totally.
3-year-olds can still have typical meltdowns at a restaurant.
Right.
2
Yep.
and 3-year-olds can still sit in a high chair. 2 or 3-year-olds are still in strollers. So I think a lot of the grief is actually it gets a real like thick Band-Aid or duct tape over it, because optically they sort of fit into what you do when you pass another family of a 2 and 3-year-old. You don't really think anything of it if there is a child breaking down.
Right. Or they're like a little, they got a few little quirks, but it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. There's
they're
just
just a
no.
baby.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, that's interesting. So then how has the grief changed now that your children are older?
I think the permanence, grief comes with the permanence of it.
Mm-hmm.
The the notion of how hard I've worked to be a leader and parent and supporter of the skills that they are learning and growing, and how many decisions were made to even get them to where they are now. That's sometimes the heaviness of that leans into a lot of grief of how am I going to be able to continue doing this in perpetuity, knowing what it's taken to even get to this point. And that is a grief that sort of lingers always. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of mothers feel that because, back to what I was saying before, I had a newborn when Millie was getting diagnosed. Being a mother to a newborn, like no
Difficult.
one, yeah, like you're not going to find a single woman and mother who looks at you and was like, gosh, I mean, that was just my favorite phase. Like it was wonderful. Like it was, gosh, it was bliss. And they're
I
lying to
love
you.
not sleeping.
Like I love that to me. I love that. Like you're in service to your child, absolutely. But like physically and primally and evolutionary wise, like in any process of being a woman and mother, that is supposed to end. Like you are built for that chapter to end, because your child is going to develop. Your child
Mm-hmm.
is going to talk. Your child is going to communicate. Your child is going to have control of their body. Like that phase is supposed to end. And so there's a lot of, I think, psychological reorienting when the intensity of a phase doesn't end, right? Like, I mean, my children are still actively being toilet trained. It has been 8 years for Millie. I mean, we are not even fully there. And so that
Yeah.
alone, those truths and realities to typical parents and mothers is like really sobering. I mean, I'm sure like, you hear people talk about like, God, like, my son, I mean, he took months to potty train. It's like tiny violin, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is 8 years going on things. And so that to me is where the grief sort of always comes in waves, or has like a little bit of a film on things, because it's permanent now. This is permanent.
Mm. Man, that hits. That hits
Yeah.
in the journey I'm on. It's like, yeah, I have those thoughts like, when is this gonna stop?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
when is this challenging and hard suffering? When is it gonna stop? And then maybe it won't stop.
yeah, like the fact that it gets integrated, not to get toxically positive here. This isn't toxic positivity, but I think the understanding of one's grief, however it presents in your body and mind and heart and family, if you talk about it, it's always there, but at least it's integrated. At least it's
Oh
not this
yeah.
like, I think that not discussing how permanent it could be, or what it's looking like, even the next right thing to do. If you can talk about that, it sort of disperses amongst the day, and it doesn't become such an anvil or such a chokehold on your ability to live in other ways. I mean, that is a practice in and of itself, but
Yeah.
talking about it sort of does permeate, like allow it to permeate and disperse on the psyche of a mom.
Yeah, and it's like it's not some hidden thing.
No.
Like for a while, I was having a hard time walking my kids through grief, and
Mm-hmm.
I was avoiding it because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to go about it. But then somebody explained that to me. They're like, just make it more normal. Like you're making it worse by not saying anything. Like just
Right.
talk about it. And
Right.
then it after a little bit of time, it's like, man, my kids had a lot to say,
Yeah.
and it was trapped in them because I wasn't
Modeling
integrating
it.
it.
We're modeling
Yeah,
that to them, and that's yeah. Having a typical oldest, who's 13 now and is typically not wanting to talk to mom as much, right? And and positioning our time that's very rare solo, even on like a walk, right? It has to be conscious. I have to consciously carve out those times to allow her to even possibly share what's on her heart about having children, siblings like she has.
yeah. How I always say that the siblings are the forgotten piece
Yeah.
in a journey. What? How are those conversations?
Um, it was interesting. It was like, I think it was like two Mother's Days ago. We sat down at a restaurant, and like, I always ask for the booth in the back corner so that my son has the padding and all that stuff. And it was just interesting because it's not like we don't go out. Like I'm not an isolator at all. Like I'm very much, my town knows that I've got kids with, profound autism and my platform and whatnot. I remember sitting down. So it wasn't like we were out to dinner for like the first time in months. We sit down and my oldest goes, am I going to have to take care of them for the rest of my life?
Wow.
And it was like Mother's Day, and I went, sweetheart, that's a really big question. I said, things are set up and conscious choices have been made already to provide a really strong network and scaffolding for you to have support for whenever that day comes. But that is a
Hmm.
lot for you to think about right now. And know that I hear you asking it. We don't have to get into the details of what that is right now because that's not yours to carry right now. We're
Yeah.
like, but it was that's the question that like broke open for me when she was, around 11 years old. Like she's already thinking about,
Jeez.
is this going to fall on me? And that's real. That's a real thing.
Totally.
That's scary. It's always what special needs parents always say. I wish I could just live 10 seconds longer than my children with profound autism, because the thought of not being able to care and putting that burden on someone else does feel like life ending. It feels life altering and life ending.
Is that I hear that is the biggest fear amongst parents. Is
Yeah,
that
I think
for you
it's.
too?
I think it's. I think that I don't. I'm not a person that thinks too far into the future. I really actually don't. This is
Uh,
not something I think about even weekly. I think what I know is that preparation for it is key. Just like
yeah.
any family, setting up the things now for down the road was really important to me. Um, and really letting everyone know that, like, in the directives for down the road, who gets to make decisions and who can be a part of decisions. Um, Having those conversations now, actually I had them a while ago, years ago, makes me feel better about down the road. But I don't think
Hmm.
about it too much. I will say I have a pretty healthy mindset on staying as healthy as I can in the now. Um, and a lot of typical women in their 40s think like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in my 40s. I'm like, thank God I'm in my 40s. Like, thank God. I'm like, this is not old anymore, right? Like, this is not, I still have such
Yeah.
the ability to stay as healthy as I can, to be as strong as I can, and especially for my son. As I know you shared about your own experience in special ed, like boys and their presentation and their strength is so different than the girls, and
Hmm.
my partner now always says, I'm not going to the gym to look good for you, baby. I'm going to the gym so that we can handle we can handle math, you know?
Well, that's so true. And as you get older, I mean, I'm in my late 30s. Um, I feel things starting to slow down a little bit. I'm not the like invincible 20-year-old where I could just go work out all day.
Yeah.
But somebody asked me recently, like, how could I alleviate that fear of who's going to take care of my kids after I'm
Yeah.
gone? I was like, well, I think you can reframe that thought, and what you can do in the present is take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And there's a supplement company called Bubs that I use for collagen and creatine,
Mhm.
and their slogan is "Die young, as late as possible."
Yeah, I like it.
And it's like, okay, you can do that. That's tangible, and then more practical. Plan some finances
Yeah.
so that that's not a stress for
Mm-mm.
if you were to go first, like
Mhm.
at least there's money.
Yeah, at least there's something down the road. I mean, yeah, I think I also read a quote a couple of years ago that stuck with me like deeply, and I'm a devout Catholic, and something for me that this hit me so big is that any fear that you have, especially for children that are disabilities or down the road, fear is just temporary atheism.
Hmm.
And anytime I get worried, I'm like, I'm not an atheist, like at all. Like I don't even
Oh
like
yeah.
I actually take a hit like that is so rude. Like how
Oh,
dare
that's
you? Like
good.
Sarah, like that should rock you so deeply that you push all your fear into faith for down the
Oh
road.
yeah. Yeah.
So anytime fear of that time, I push it all to that's not who I am. No,
Hmm.
I have a much greater faith over fear in that capacity.
Totally. And
Yeah,
fear hates action.
absolutely.
Just take some action. Small things. I was talking with Tommy. Tommy, Spectrum and
Mm-hmm.
Camouflage, and we had an awesome podcast. It was just all about mindset, and that's kind of we talked about like all your fears, spin them and do something about it. But if you
Yeah.
sit there and just fear them, like you're just gonna fear.
Yeah,
And it's a
it becomes
bad space to be in.
rumination is like the killer of agency. And I don't know how as humans we haven't realized that you can't think your way through something. You have to you have to literally march. You have to move your body through it.
Hmm.
We are built to have movement. We are built to move through things. Um, I I love reading, all the different, motivational writers and thought leaders and theologians of the world. But my favorite one of like our lifespan is like Bruce Lee and how he always said to be like water. Like water will always find a way. Like
That
water
is,
will actually, and in my flood of my house, I really know that.
yeah. Oh,
That's it
it'll find a way.
finds a way. Water will always find a way through. And I think that even in the slightest of crevices, like it finds a way through. And you go to the beach and you see these, little ponds that are high up from a high tide and how it gets back and these little tributaries that lead it. Like it always finds a way. And it's because it's moving. Stagnant
Yeah.
water gets like gross. I have this adorable park, quarter of a mile from my house that I walk in every day. And that pond, there's one part of it gets really grimy and stuff and like goose poop and all, all that.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's nasty because it's like this stagnant water. And, then a storm comes and the next day, the thing looks beautiful. Like it's like, and you just think it's exactly what needed to happen. That water had to move to
Right.
clear. So
Right.
we are no different than that.
No.
And especially, I've noticed that big time with Millie and Mac. The more movement I can get into their day, um, the better they are and all
Yeah.
their are.
That's the motto of my family, the Ponder family.
Yeah,
Find a way.
find a way.
Nobody's gonna do it for you, and
Nope.
they're not allowed to say I can't do something. Either ask for help, and I'll
Hmm.
teach you how to do it, or
Hmm.
find a way.
Yep, that's right. I mean,
And
again,
yeah,
agency is um, so misunderstood, and I think even at a child level, my 13-year-old can do a lot more than she thinks she can. And actually, I think she
mhm.
probably does better as a 13-year-old knowing what her siblings can't do without help and support. But
Yeah.
you know,
When did
kids
you
kids have resilient are very resilient.
when did you start to realize like presuming competence and seeing how capable and intelligent your kids are?
Both of I mean, a number of different points, but something recently that my son has been harder to understand and to, um, I always say like to like tap into him. Millie responded to, I could sing her entire life every day, all day in song. She just wants me singing to her all day, whether that's about what we're going to do, about the songs that she likes to sing. I mean, it is the way in which she understands everything and sees life. My son has never responded to music like Millie did. And I think the competence bridge to him has been harder to understand, never lacking that he has, deep competence in his actions and his thoughts and his intelligence. He recently, and Millie, just about a year ago, started Spell to Communicate at their school. And my
Nice.
son, Millie has been took to an AAC device very, very early on, and she doesn't love it, but she uses it, and she can say a lot of things, and she can get her point across if when she knows that's necessary. She can say yes and no, so there's a lot of positive that comes from her just having to be able to say yes and no. My son Mac, not as much. He starts Spell to Communicate. I go in about 12, 16 weeks after he starts this, and he is like a ping pong ball in a small 12 by 12 room. Like, he's not sitting, he's just running around. And then I show up, mom's there, and the S2C facilitator is like, watch this. And it was around December. And she read a paragraph about, Santa Claus at the North Pole. And she was like, Santa Claus lives at the North Pole. It's very cold in the North Pole. And it's like all these things, polar bears, the elves, the temperature, there's a North Pole, there's a South Pole, all these things. And she said, Mac, what time of year, what season is Santa Claus at the North Pole? And he spelled winter on the spelling board, and spelled it, and looked, and then ran over to me like
Woo-hoo.
understand, like, mom, I'm so here. And I lost it, Zach. I mean, I lost it
Yeah.
because he did it. He was standing up in the corner because she's kind of following him around. He does it, and he, within like 0 seconds, like a 0 second span, looks right at me and runs to me for a celebration, like a that touch point of like, mom, did you see that? And I just thought, baby, you are so smart. I am so proud of you. I'm here to see it. Like, let's keep going, bud. Like, what else you got? And every time I go in, it's the same thing. I went in February, and they're learning about MLK, and they're, talking about this whole, March on Washington. And this Spell to Communicate facilitator goes, who was the president during MLK's March on Washington? And my son at 8 years old, who like is a whirling dervish, non-speaking autistic boy, spells out Lyndon Johnson.
Oh my gosh.
I look at him, I'm like, baby, I didn't even know that.
I don't know that either.
I just like, it
Jeez.
gives me full body chills. And so the competence that I like, those sessions, and then witnessing those sessions, knowing that he's growing in those, knowing that he's at a school that provides
Mm.
this kind of communication skill to be built on, I feel like I have grown, like the expansion of my presumption of his competence has grown because he continues to show me when I give him the opportunity to show me. And so there's never a chance, there's never an interaction I have with him that I don't really believe that he knows exactly what's going on,
Yeah.
exactly what I'm asking him for, exactly what I'm seeking to understand. And even if he can't tell me, there's some sort of way that he's transmitting, I'm trying, I'm here with you, mom. I'm going to keep going with this. And those are the things that just build the presumption of competence. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, again, it should grow. I think the statement, presume competence is one thing, but that, like any skill, will grow as you continue to presume competence.
Yeah, yeah, it just gets stronger. How has that just changed your outlook on the future?
Oh, it's, all of us want purpose in life, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
purpose is baked into being a human. And I think that knowing that my both of my children are going to have and find purpose because of my belief in them, my belief that we can figure this out together, we will find a way or make one to allow them to have purpose. And I deeply, deeply believe that if you have one person in your corner, you are lucky, and more lucky than a lot, than the majority of humans. And if that belief can just permeate into how you live, whether you're an 8-year-old little boy or a 16-year-old or a 22-year-old who's just finding his voice, like, if you have someone that believes in you in this path, you will find a way to find purpose. And that doesn't mean that
Yeah,
support's not going to have to be there, but it will grow. It will grow for sure.
that's such a powerful mindset. What is it? What does they say? Your thoughts turn to beliefs, your beliefs turn to action, your actions
Hmm.
produce results. How
Yeah.
have you? Let's go into a little bit about Inchstones,
Yeah.
and the meaning behind that. It really it starts in your thoughts,
Hmm.
and this is like you're preaching to the choir for me because I came to this conclusion and realization early on in the classroom when I would just really take it in and see my students for who they were and how they operated in their day.
Hmm.
And I would see how much fun they would have with the littlest things. And
Hmm.
then I would really be able to see God in my students and how he created them. And then it really turned my days special. I wrote a book called Special Days because it's like if you just look for it, it's right there waiting
It's
for
right
you.
there. Yeah, I think, I mean, Inchstones came about because in those earlier years, post diagnosis, when your kids are younger, you're going in so much for these, follow up evaluations, and like you have to fill out
Yeah.
these forms. And I mean, any parent with children with a diagnosis has to, anyways, yearly or biannually. When you're constantly putting in zero out of a scale, right? Or you're constantly being told that a milestone isn't met,
Mm,
it does something to a parent. Like your psyche does take a hit because you're basically being told your child is failing, or there's a failure to thrive aspect, neurologically or mentally and intelligence wise. And I couldn't believe it because I thought to myself, but she's growing. Like, she started in this preschool with a one-on-one aide who is teaching her how to blow bubbles and to say pop. You're that's growth. Like, I don't understand why are you telling me that it's not happening? It absolutely is happening. And I
uh-huh.
and I got and I got this, like, and you asked me what the word of my parent, I got this like fierce tenacity in me going, I am not going to let a typical pediatrician or educator or, doctor tell me that nothing's happening.
Hmm.
It's just absolutely not true. It's objectively not true. And when I'd say that, they'd say, well, and I'd say, stop, just stop right there. I don't, nothing else. Your pause says everything about you. Absolutely know I'm goddamn right. And I'm going to fight for every time. And I'm going to have you mention it on your, on your notes. Like, I will not take this chart, these milestones, to be the reason that my child is successful and thriving as a human. I reject it with extreme prejudice. And that's where the mentality, the Inchstones brand, the like platform came from, is like, I want to always remind mothers, caregivers, parents that what they're seeing is real. Like, there
Mm.
is no, there's no other person that knows Millie and Mac like I do as their mother. I can give you, an Encyclopedia Britannica set on their
Yeah,
details. You
totally.
you can do the same for your child. No one external of that role will ever be able to tell you more about your child than the parent can, or the caregiver. And the fact that we do not center that in development in this country for any child is so fundamentally wrong. We women, specifically women with maternal intuition and providership and protectiveness of a father, when it comes to children with profound needs, there is no one that knows better for their child than a parent. And
100%.
until we center that, until we remind parents that the power and that the expertise is within their capacity to share about their child critically, logically, especially in the IEP room, if you can translate that into being like you're the expert, it will change the entire terrain of your child's team and like the development around them when you can speak about them in an expert way. Everyone is
Well,
like it's just everyone is an expert in their child. Like I'm not an I probably more than most could sit and give you a great rundown on your children, but I'll never be the expert.
totally. And it's so lopsided, especially in those IEP meetings.
Ugh, yeah.
It's like, oh, you got all the professionals. Oh, your child's not doing this. This is blah blah blah, blah. And then there's no time for the parent to talk. And I'm like, these meetings are all going. They're all wrong.
Mhm.
You have the IEP Power Plan.
Yeah.
What's the scoop on that?
It's exactly what you just said. It's that I realized there was a gap in the preparation process.
Yeah,
You know,
parents don't know.
I'm on probably 2 or 3 text chains of special needs moms, right? And when I started building this and talking about like having an advocacy platform that was about the preparation for IEP, like 3/4 of this one group didn't even realize that the parent statement had to be received by the IEP committee. Okay. Like these are women that are like doing this and didn't even know. So I said, what I realized from my own journey in this is that the better and more concise, logical, and lengthy my parent statement was completely changed the terrain of the room going in.
Mm,
So what I do with the IEP Power Plan is like have this one-on-one with the mom or caregiver before the IEP meeting room. And my service is not to go in as the advocate. Mine is like
right.
I'm the preparation advocate because there is no one better than you to do this. So I do an intake where I ask a ton of questions about, what they see as the parent. We get really, really detailed about that. And I say, cry, emote, laugh, get angry, tell me everything. Give me any documentation that you have from therapists, educators that will just have me understand more about what we're looking at in terms of what services that you want to have in their plan. And then I'm going to take all that and I'm going to put this parent statement and sort of strategy for you in a very, simple document so that we're going to send that parent statement to the IEP committee, days before, a week before, whenever they're accepting documents, and get that to them so that the entire environment is going to change when they realize that, oh, this is the mother that's coming in at 1:30. Okay. It changes it from being a defense posture of the parent to being on the offense, knowing they see, oh gosh, she is the expert on this kid.
Sheesh.
Nothing we say back, she's not going to have a clear answer for.
She's there
So
to play ball.
she's there to play ball, and not in a way that's unethical, not in a way
Right.
that is morally wrong or corrupt, in a way that reminds them that if you can hold and stand so firmly planted in what you've told me about your kid, we're going to get this, we're going to completely change the terrain. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I realized. There was a gap that parents go in, they're already like so nervous. This is
So
again, your
nervous.
child your heart beating outside your body. You think you're basically going into a law firm or like a
Hmm.
law or a legal setting. It's so easy. There's so many things that like you're on the like this hairline fracture of getting emotional, becoming undone, realizing that if you don't stay somewhat stoic and affirmative, they're gonna use your emotional weakness as a way to further their agenda and what they can contain, and they want you to unravel. The system wants you to unravel. Like they bank
Totally.
on it, and again, when you tell that to someone, they're like, maybe, but like, and I'm like, nope. they don't know that they want you to unravel, but it benefits them if you do. So let's come from a totally opposite angle, knowing that like you're not going to unravel, and see what happens. And the outcomes have been like, I beta tested this on like 20, 25 different moms.
Nice.
Wide range, right? Like wide range of different desires and needs for their kids. I mean, I don't want to say that I'm batting 1,000, but like I'm batting pretty close to 1,000, because they can't believe, they're like, but I was saying this already. I'm like, you just weren't saying it in a way that changed the terrain. And that's what this plan does. And then what I'm realizing is that when I create this for them, these moms are like, I feel so empowered now. Like I'm sending this to their therapist. I'm sending this to their, their camp, instructor. I'm saying this because it's the best, most clear one pager on their kid that can get an outsider to understand the depth of what the mom wants. So it's been empowering.
And it's just that simple reminder that parents have a voice at the table and they are the expert, which is crazy that that's not taught. They're like literally taught nothing. And then but that's the system is by design. I mean, like we are unfortunately living in systems that we are so unaware of. And until you get burned by it, you don't think that there's an outcome that they want over your own. So it's as simple as taking back the power. I'm thankful that this world has advocates and that there's legal systems in place, but I really don't believe that most parents need that. I think they need more of a they need
plan.
Some education. Yeah. And hot take, the easiest IEP meetings from a former special ed teacher are the ones where parents didn't talk.
He said it here, folks.
It's true.
I mean, like, because there's no challenge to the observations, and when observations have legal ramifications, guess what? Like, it makes it a heck of a lot easier for the school district or whatever to just stamp it and move on.
Yeah. But when you ask questions, it forces them to actually produce data to back up what you're saying. So ask away. Ask away, parents.
Ask away, yep.
All right. So you got the IEP Power Plan. You got Inchstones podcast. Where else can people find you?
So I do most of my long form writing, which is like the heart of my work, on Substack. So the Inchstones Substack is where I am. And right now I'm, positioned to speak at some national conferences for the National Council of Severe Autism this summer. And I'm realizing that the long form work from the Substack and the podcast have really been the reason why I'm able to even get the opportunity to speak in those rooms, because I think there's so much nuance and so much complexity in the realities and truth of the world and like of families like mine. And we have to, as you were saying before, there's the anger piece and the swirl has to be quieted to allow for complexity and nuance, because no family is the same, but the intensity of this life is very real for everyone. So that's where I do the deep dives on the Inchstones Substack.
Substack, and that's amazing. You got that speaking coming up.
Thanks.
Okay, let's close it out. Last question. Drop us some wisdom. What would you say to the parent who is just exhausted and wonders if they're doing enough?
Oh man. You're going to be able to find something within you that is so transformative from what you think rock bottom is, and what you think is negative, or what you think is exhaustive or tiring. If you can own up to the truth and reality of what you're seeing in front of you, use it as fuel to keep going. Because the second that you can use the rock bottom moment, the exhaustive day, as a fuel for the next decision, you will be fine. Do not let that moment be the one that takes you down. Use it as fuel.
Oof. There's always more. Find a way.
More. Find a way. It's like water.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. This was Sarah with Inchstones. Thanks for being here.